Hey, good morning, doers. For the doers, it's Tom Brown here. Hope everybody's doing well and you're finding some progress here this day. And hey, we've got a treat for you. Hey, good to see you, Morgan there. Good morning, Mitchell, back online with us. Awesome. Good studying, man. So, hey, listen, gang, we're going to take a few minutes here and have Pete and Brandon talk a little bit. And, hey, listen, gang, it's timing is everything in life, right? And sometimes we've got to take the reins for our future growth and take responsibility for where we're at, right, Devin? And make something happen for ourselves. And while the history of Unitrust goes back 6-7 years in the making, where recently a new company was formed early this summer, and the timing was right, gang. And really just, I think Pete and Brandon just wanted to carve out a destiny for themselves and provide a place where people could flourish, where they could be supported and hang their hat and be respected. And there's a lot of investment into what Pete and Brandon have put into the company to make it a better value proposition, which I believe it certainly is. In my humble professional opinion, what I've seen, there's crazy stuff out there in our business, but hey, man, I believe there's a place here where you can grow this to whatever you wish to and whatever you see for yourselves, and set your sights on being able to make a 6-figure income, without having to go all the training that's necessarily required to have to earn that and get into that. So it's just amazing here. So listen, gang, I'm going to toss this over to Brandon and Pete, and they're going to share a little bit with you on, hey, how did we get here, and how this business has touched their lives, and hopefully you'll find a way to allow it to make an impact for you. And I'm just humbled to be here. It's an honor to be here with y'all to serve you. So let's give a big here to Pete Beckman, and welcome to the call, Pete, our co-founder and CEO, and Brandon Hall as well, our co-founder too. Thanks, Pete.
Hey, Tom, glad to be with you guys today. Hey, I love the For the Doers shirt. It's the hashtag motto for us, right? People that take action, take initiative, do what they need to do to get things done. So really glad to have you guys. And man, I don't know about you guys. I love these daily trainings at 11 o'clock every day. I love getting together. When I miss you guys because of things that's going on, I always tune in and I listen to them again. I put it on replay. For me, it's about giving yourself, feeding your mind with what you need every day, right? And so I want to welcome all the new folks. If you guys have never met me, I'm glad to have you. And I'm really privileged and honored today to get to share my story and our background with you guys, because a lot of you guys maybe are meeting us for the first time, don't really know who we are. And if Brandon's jumping on in just a second, he had a cell phone signal problem. So it's what happens sometimes when you're out in the field making money, making it happen, right? So sometimes those things happen. But I kind of wanted today to maybe share our heart a little bit with you, and I love hearing the stories this week. Larry Lucas, I love hearing your story, and Jamal Bowman and Ashley Haga and, Joe Gibbons and so many of you guys, and Linda, and where you guys are from. And for me, I don't know, when I got started in this industry, I want to share with you guys today the mindset that I had when I got started, as well as Brandon did, kind of talk about that. Like, how did we view the business when we got started? How did we view, our future when we got started? Where were we? Because I can tell all of you guys, when I got started in this business about 15 years ago, I was not by any means looking to start a company. Right. I wasn't back then really looking to do much besides just get ahead of water, just get myself from drowning, just to where I was not suffocating. That's where I was. And for me, that was a big deal, because I've never forgotten what that feels like to go through that. But I also realized very quickly, team, that it took people who knew how to get to where I wanted to go to help get me to where I wanted to go. Too many people come in and it's the same thing. Like, you didn't have to beg me to communicate. That it just baffles me. Like, one of the mysteries and ninth wonders of the world to me is why somebody who will make 1/10 of what you make, or 1/20, that you got to beg them to get some help. You didn't have to do that with me and Brandon. When we got started, I think everything that I realized when I started in business, I didn't go into business because I even necessarily wanted to be my own boss. I think I went into business is because I saw an opportunity, number one, that I could make a lot of money. Anybody else agree? Maybe that's what attracted you to our industry. Maybe that's what attracted you here initially, is that, hey, I can just make a lot of money, so I'm going to come here, right? But what keeps you here, what kept me in the business, was the difference that we actually make for people, right? How many of you guys out there have actually delivered a death claim, a death check? I did. The business changed for me in 2000. It was like circa 2008, something like that, 2009. I delivered my number one death claim. I'd written a bunch of clients, hadn't had it happen before. I was just in it to make some money. I was making a lot of money, feeling good. I believed in the insurance. I believed in what it was. But finally, delivering that first death check, death claim, is what made it go from my brain and it moved to my heart. And that's what's motivated me since I got started. I remember I sat with a husband and wife. They had purchased a new home in St. Augustine, Florida. If you guys are familiar, that's the oldest, they said to be the oldest city in the United States, right? And Brandon and I live about an hour from there, north. And we had this appointment. I remember this husband and wife very vividly. It was a husband and wife that we went out. They had just bought a new home. He had worked he worked for Allstate, which has a big corporate office here in Jacksonville. And he was in their underwriting team on their P&C side with Allstate. He was one of the chief actuaries. So the guy understood insurance, understood what it was, but he was just like every other American, right? He was just getting a new home. Maybe he was on a fixed budget. He was a little bit older. He wanted to cover the whole mortgage, but he couldn't. So he took out enough insurance to pay for a year and a half worth of mortgage payments for him and his wife. And I remember it said, I mean, it was only somewhat like $20-something thousand in insurance. We wrote that policy up. I wrote that policy up. I helped that family. Hey, come on now. I got Abby over here. You know, the boss is over here growling. She hears stuff. So my first death claim, I went out and I wrote this policy, and listen to this. This is one I'll never forget. I wrote this policy on a Thursday night. This was right before Easter, and they had just got the house and they were excited, unpacking everything. All they could financially put together at that time was that they wanted to put enough to pay 18 months worth of the mortgage payments. So I wrote a Forrester's Plan Right. I scratched a paper app, Forrester's Plan Right. I wrote out a Forrester's Plan Right app for this husband and wife to cover a year and a half worth of mortgage payments for him. We didn't put anything on her. And then I turned the app in on Friday. I think by Monday or something like that, I was paid a commission on it. And Monday morning, I get a repeated number of calls. Like my phone rang like 4, 5, 6 times. And, you know, usually it's not real good when somebody calls you 4 or 5 times in a row and it's like super early, like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I answered the call, and it was his wife. And she had informed me and that this is a policy I wrote like 4 days prior. My husband has passed away yesterday. How do we file the claim paperwork? And so I kind of, you guys know me enough to know I kind of wanted to be like, I heard that for the first time. I never had these calls, right? So I didn't quite know what to say, but I'm sorry. What can I do? I naturally, Tom, wanted to crack a joke, but I didn't. I bit my tongue. I wanted to say, like, did you kill him already? Like, I just wrote the thing on Thursday. Did you kill him already? I didn't say that. But she told me, she said, my husband on Easter Sunday, I had bought him a new lawnmower to go around and do the yard so he could mow the lawn. The kids were coming over, grandkids were going to come over to do the Easter egg hunt. And he was taking the mower around the yard, and there's a pond in the back, and there's an embankment down to the pond. She was in there preparing brunch and breakfast and stuff for the family to come over for their Easter gathering. And the grandbaby, one of their 11-year-old granddaughters, when she got there, ran into the back because she knew Papaw was out in the back mowing the yard, wanted to see him first. And the 11-year-old granddaughter found him upside down in the water with the lawnmower on top of him. He was riding it too close. It tipped over, pinned him down and drowned him, suffocated him, and he died. Man, that was like tough, right? Hearing the story. And all I could remember thinking to myself was, what a difference we make for people. Yeah, we make a lot of money. We go out, we can run our own deal, but man, oh man, the impact that we make on other people, because that 18 months worth of mortgage payments, he had other insurance and everything through work and all that through Allstate, but that was able to give her time. Forrester's paid the claim. It gave her time to not worry about the mortgage payments. She ended up cashing in about another $500,000 in life insurance that they had through Allstate. She called back, asked what to do with it. I helped her roll half of it into an annuity account. So I ended up getting paid on it again. I ended up making like $15,000 or something in commission to help this family. And he passed away. But I was that person that she knew could help her. We were there to make sure her benefit was paid, walk her through the process. And that's why when I got into this business, the first thing that drove me was I just needed to make money. But what kept me going in this business is the paying those death claims out to the family. And then, Tom, I think what kept me going was now being able to share a wealth of opportunity with other people like you guys on this call to start seeing a financial impact that I was able to see. Because back then, the only person that I started when I got in the business, nobody was on this call. It was just me. And then it was me and Kara. And then it was me and Kara and Tom. And then it was Brandon. And then we started adding. So for me, it was like win-win. I could make a difference for people. I could actually go do something that was bigger than myself, which what was driving me. And then I met Brandon. And for Brandon and I, it was for us to be able to come in, and I saw somebody that had a lot of ambition, a lot of drive. And I said, man, you'd be really good at this business. And I'll share a little bit. Brandon, I'll brag on him for a minute because he was like super successful in sales before he got here. He worked for Comcast, if you guys know who that is, and Xfinity, I think most other places call it. And here in Florida, he was selling fiber optics to businesses. And here's a young guy who was dominating the Southeast territory in sales, like 5-1, the number 2 person behind him. Even then, going out and helping people with fiber optics, I'm like, man, if you can sell like expensive cable to businesses and get through a gatekeeper, man, you'd kill this thing. And it took him like 3 months to get his license. But I was also kind of selling him, Larry, on the opportunity. And he was doing it more because he believed in me than really he believed in the business, I think, at first. And he got his license, and then we got started. And then we started going out and making money and helping a lot of families. But Brandon, can you talk about maybe what was it that attracted you to the business when you got started? Can you talk a little bit about where we were, financially, what we were doing, and what got you wanting to do the business when we started back in 2014 with you?
Yeah, I mean, holy moly, flashback. So what attracted me, like most people, is it's the money aspect, because it sounded too good to be true, and even to this day I still have to pinch myself. But I would like to say that I started because I was like, yes, let's do this. This sounds like a great idea. I actually kind of got backed into a corner, which is, in my opinion, I think it's the worst way to start what we do.
I think it's the best way to start. I was talking about that this morning.
Oh, well, so I had the job. I was making about $150,000, $200,000 a year doing it. Great salary, benefits, blah, 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 all that ridiculousness. And they brought us all into a room and said, hey, great news, guys. We're going to raise your commission levels on all these products. We're going to lower your salaries down. We're going to cut your salaries in half. And I had $100,000 salary. So that means I was being cut down to 50. And all these other people, they're like, oh, this is awesome. And I'm thinking to myself, I know how this works in corporate America. We're going to spin it so that you're like, oh, this is great, but really we're screwing you.
Because we're gonna raise your quota like times 2 or 3 to hit the same number you were at.
Hello. Exactly. So I knew what was going on. So that was the day I came home, and I had just literally gotten my license. Literally had just gotten it. And I came home and I said, Pete, I'm quitting my job, because I was going to do it part-time, which
No, we weren't.
really meant I was going to do it when I felt like doing it, which was going to be never. I was going to do it sometimes. I was going to do it on the weekends when I felt like doing it. But of course, when the weekend would get here, you ain't going to feel like getting on the phone and making dials. So I didn't have a choice. So Pete and I went from making some pretty good guaranteed income to literally there was no guarantee. The guarantee was based off of our work ethic. But yeah, got started, used our first batch of leads that we was bought with our mortgage money. Like, we made good money, but we spent all of it. Like,
Spent
all
good
of
money
it.
too.
We made great money, but we spent it just as fast as it came in.
Spent it faster than I made it.
I call it hood rich, but that's just
We
me.
were hood rich back in the day. We were a little.
But anyways, yeah, so like, man.
And you know
I
what?
remember-
I want to tell everybody where I was at that time too with you. So I had got out of the industry. I was working for BMW, and I was making a couple $100,000 a year. And what was interesting was I knew what I was doing. It was strategic, Michael. It was very strategic. So I went and got a batch of leads. Brandon and I, it was October 31st of 2014. We had got a batch of leads, Linda. We went and got $1,500 and bought these leads. And we sat down, and I remember back then we didn't have a script. We worked with some really sweet couple named Dick and Connie. They had a script that they showed them. I'm like, I can't do that. And so it was like 4 pages or something, the phone script. It was like, I was like, you've seen it, Dave. I was like, I can't do this. And I was like, so I gave the leads to Brandon, and he said, what do I say to them? Don't I have a script or something? I was like, no, just tell them they filled this thing out and you're coming to the house. He's like, well, don't I need to say anything else? I was like, no. It was so simplistic, but it was so impactful because it didn't need to be any more difficult than that. You got this request, you filled it out. I need to come out to the house. Well, what happens if they say all this? Just tell them it doesn't matter. You still got to come to the house. Well, I'm not interested. I understand. I still got to come to the house. That's literally how we started booking appointments, Michael. That was like, there was no object. There was nothing. It was like, well, can you call me back? No, ma'am, I can't. I need to come out to the house. You filled this thing out. Well, I'm not sure if I want it. Well, I'm not sure if you want it either, but I need to come out to the house. You got some time either today or tomorrow. And we booked up all these appointments. And it was Halloween. I'm sorry, Halloween was on the Sunday. So this was like the 29th, Friday the 29th. We locked ourselves in our home office and we dialed Morgan until Saturday and Sunday. We had like 20 appointments booked. And I remember back then, Brandon was like telling me, new agent stuff. Well, Pete, you're booking it here. How are we going to get here and here and here? And I'm like, don't worry about none of it. So I really was not a great representation for what most people would think when they came in. Because at first I'm like, he was like, this is your training style. Just book them whenever. I'm like, yep. He said, you don't have a script. Nope. Just book them. You don't have this. That was our training program. I said, you don't need to worry about all that. What happens if they're not interested? Don't worry about all that. Who cares? Keep going. Well, don't we have apps? We'll figure that out. We'll print that stuff out later. Let's just get on the phone. And we literally locked ourselves in. And on Saturday and Sunday, we went out. We had 20 appointments, but here's the crazy part about it. Our first weekend, we wrote 16 applications on Saturday and Sunday. Now, I will tell you, and the first time I've ever admitted this on a training call, probably in person or ever in front of Brandon, I probably worked that weekend harder than I'd ever worked because I needed to validate to him that this damn thing worked. because I wanted him to quit his job. And really what I wanted to do was I wanted to quit mine first. That's really what it was, is I wanted to show him that this thing worked, Dave, and that I was going to quit my job, but don't worry about it. We'd be good. Like that was my mastermind plan behind the whole thing. It was well thought out. But we went out, we wrote 16 apps. Sunday was Easter, or was December or October 31st. It was Halloween. So the next day, I'm working at an auto dealership. Before Brandon quit his job on Tuesday, Monday, I walk in with my stack of leads into the car dealership. You know, here's Pete rolling into the car dealership. And for some of you guys, we had this girl named Crystal. Crystal still works for us, Crystal Lamb. Crystal used to work with me in insurance before. And then when I got in the car business, I got her into there, and she would like book service appointments for me to like appraise people's cars and stuff. Cause I was just working, Roger, and she'd come in. So I remember walking in and I'd go, Crystal, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go through all these leads and sort them by zip code so I can call them. I was like keeping her working, like as my little assistant at BMW, but I had her sorting leads. And I remember going over to my boss's desk, impromptu. I'm sitting there in my little glass office, my little fishbowl, thinking, God, life has got to be better than sitting here from 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, waiting for somebody to come in and want a BMW. Like something's got to be better. And I said, you know what? I'm going to quit my job. We wrote 16 apps. We ain't been paid on nothing yet. It don't matter. We found out that morning they were all on the wrong app too. We wrote all the wrong. Connie Sylvester called us up and said, where in the world did you get these apps? Guys, literally, I printed them off Google Images. That's where I got the apps. Because our manager that weekend was in Cabo on vacation on a company trip. And the Sylvesters didn't make that trip. So Connie's calling me freaking out. Where did you get these apps? I said, I don't know. I got them off Google Images. She said, you printed, you can't do that. So this is literally how organized we were. But the point to all I'm saying is it worked, because all we did was, it was our thought process. We didn't even worry about nothing. We just had to get in, get the leads, go help the families. I already requested it. I just need to come out and help them. You either gonna get it or you ain't. Let's just go do it. I walked into my boss's office and I said, I got good news today. I got great news. And he said, what's that? I said, I'm going to quit. I'm going to give you my 2 weeks notice. And I knew what that meant. He said, what do you mean you're giving your 2 weeks notice? Where are you going? I said, I'm going to go sell insurance and go work in mortgage protection. I'm going to go help families. And he said, that's not going to be very stable. You're going to sit there and do that? That's not very stable. And I said, hey man, I made like $8,000 this weekend. And I said, see these stack of leads? I said, I can sit here and wait for somebody to call me or want a BMW or see if the phone would ring. Y'all been in sales before, retail. Who gets the phone faster than the other sales guy? Whether it's selling furniture, mortgages, loans, I don't care what who's getting the phone the fastest, right? And you're sitting there, like you end up with arthritis from like triggering the phone, right? I don't have to worry about none of that anymore. I said, I can call these families that need my help, or I can sit here and wait for somebody. I'm out. And he said, Pete, you're making 200,000 plus a year. Like nobody's making this kind of money. You're insane. I said, no, I'm not insane. But Brandon, I think a lot of it was our thought process going in. It was the thought process from day one about what this was going to do for us, and how we treated it, I think, was based on our thought process. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing I think that helped us coming in, besides the thought process, was also what our level of expectation was behind it. Because I remember asking you, and I've brought this up on calls before, like what's normal? Like, what do normal people do? What does an average agent do doing this? And he said, oh, about $15,000 to $20,000 a week. And so the benchmark was set at such a high level, to me, starting as a level of normal, that's what we hit. And so starting out with such a high expectation, I think it honestly helped me out and helped you out and helped us out, because I look back
It
now.
was our norm. It was our norm.
What a dumb question for me to ask, as somebody who I had been number one doing other stuff before, and I don't say that to be arrogant or anything, but I look back and I'm like, that was not the way for me to come in thinking, why would I compare myself to an average person? I don't want to come in and just be average. I don't want to come in here and just be what a normal agent does. I don't want that. I never been that kind of person. So I look back and I'm like, why would I ask something stupid like that? But yeah, so I think that helped. I think the other thing is that we treated it like a full-time job. Just because we are now our own boss, you don't have to go sit in a fishbowl all day. I don't have to check in and be on conference call after conference call after conference call. And oh my gosh.
That first year, I think we worked more hours than I'd ever worked in my life
Yes.
for the first
Yeah.
year. And Brad, I did it because if it was worth going to do it for somebody that told me how much I was worth, I did it for myself. I was worth more than what somebody was going to tell me I was worth. And I think it was our motivation. I want to talk about this with people a little bit. What was our motivation to get in business? I got into business. I don't know. Like sometimes I know everybody's different. So hey, it is what it is. I just think a certain way and it is what it is. But here's how I think. I didn't get into business so I could hang out. I didn't get into business so every time somebody in my family asked me to do everything, the answer was yes to everything, and I never worked. I didn't go into business so that I didn't have any accountability. Like I didn't go into business so I didn't have a boss. I wanted a boss. I just wanted to be the boss. Do you know what I'm saying, guys? Like was my motivation. I didn't get into business so that I could go backwards. I got into freaking business so I could thrive. I got into business so I could put my stake in the ground with my name on it, and I had complete control. That's why I got into business. I got into business. Listen, I mean, I told Brandon when we got started, I said, hey, this first year, Brandon, when we get rolling, like we just quit. We $450,000, $500,000 like in our household went by like that. It was the best decision of our life. It was absolutely the best decision we ever made. Because what it did was it forced us to just do it, to stop talking. Like I just told you guys, did I have a phone script? Nope, it still worked. Did I have even the right apps? Nope, it still worked. Did we know how to turn anything? Nope, it didn't work. We didn't even know how to get on a conference call back then because it was like we didn't care. All we did was just get on the phone, make dials, go help people. Get on the phone, make dials, go help people. And then I started recruiting people. Boom, boom. And then I found Jamal Bowman. Now I found a couple other people and a couple other people and a couple other people. And before you know it, the thing started snowballing. But I think it all came into our motivation for why we got into business in general. I didn't get in. I watch some people sometimes, Brandon, and I'm like, why'd you get in? Well, every time my family asks me something to do, before you know it, their whole schedule's filled up with everything but making money. And then I get the calls, Tom, right? And they go, well, I don't think this Unitrust thing is really working out. I'm like, yeah, it probably ain't. The Unitrust thing ain't working because you ain't working it. You know what I mean? If it's like every time, family calls, you got to go to lunch. You got to go to dinner with everybody. You got to say yes to this. It's like, okay, an afternoon tea time. Okay. I'm going to go play 9 holes real quick and come back. I'm going to move the papers from the left to the right in my office today. Like Tommy said one time, never forgot that, Robin. See, I didn't get into business to do that. I get into freaking business so I can make a crazy amount of money, and we can talk about the other things, so I could change my family's life. I could take care of my mom. I could take care of my dad. I could pay my debt. I can live the way that I've always wanted to live. I looked at this business when I got in the door. I won the lottery by finding this opportunity. I wasn't scratching lotto tickets. I found it. I found it here. And Brandon, I know we talk a lot about that, like the motivations we see people and what separates, more than anything. I hope you guys, maybe it's the mindset, like which dominates. If you had a spiral of everything, it's like what you think determines what you do determines your belief. And then guess what? The belief will reinforce what you do. So it's going to keep spiraling. Everything starts, the first thing, it's like this never ending cycle. Do you want to think big or do you want to think small? Do you want to make a lot or make a little? I can tell you this, small minds won't make big incomes. You know, small minds won't make big impacts. And I know, Brandon, we've talked constantly about that separating factor of the seriousness of what somebody wants to do when they get into business.
You know, as you were explaining that just now, the thing that popped into my head is I think that whenever people go from having a boss, someone managing them, standards, expectations, like McDonald's, you go work for McDonald's, and let's say that you're hired on full time. That means for 36.5 hours a week or whatever the law is, right? And so let's say every Monday, you know what your schedule is for the next week, or every Friday, you know what the schedule is for next week. And that schedule, and I know that this is getting into the weeds, but you guys are going to understand what I'm saying. That schedule gets put in a computer system. Then when you go to work on that Monday and the computer system sees, okay, Brandon is supposed to be here at 8 a.m. Brandon clocks in at 8:30 a.m. Boom, I'm getting written up. I'm late. In company policy at McDonald's, you're late 3 times within a 60-day period, you're out. $9 an hour. And then Brandon was like, dang it. I go in, I give some half-ass effort. My, friend calls or family calls. I get a crappy attitude. I'm being rude to customers. I'm not doing my job, or I'm doing a half-ass job. Boss comes over to me and says, hey, why do you have your chip on your shoulder? You have customers, like what's going on with the customer service? I don't know. And then I got to leave early because I got some family stuff going on. And then I'm late next week. And then I'm late 2 days later. Guess what? I just got fired from McDonald's. How many of us on this phone would have lost our job? Would have lost our job at McDonald's based off of how we treat this. So the problem is that a lot of people go into business and there's zero standards set for themselves.
They go into business so they don't have to have accountability.
Correct. Exactly. And then the thing is that the reason why these companies are profitable is because of those standards they set, because of the people they put in place to do those jobs, because it generates them an income. And the income that is generated is higher than the amount that they're paying people. So if the effort of the people doesn't generate an income, you're out. So the same thing happens here. If you go from having a set schedule, standards, and expectations, consequences, if you don't have those in your business, you're not going to make it at all. And what's interesting is if you go work at McDonald's or Target or Publix or Kroger's or whatever you have where you are, they're not going to let you leave for this, leave for that, take a 2-hour long lunch break. Oh, I know you got me a cashier today. I don't want to be a cashier today. I want to go put buggies inside. Nope. You're a cashier today or you can get out. Like there's sets, like it's so stupid. But when you look back at it, and then we look at our business, how many of us know that we should be on the phone at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever your time is? And we know that we should be off at 11. We know that we start our appointments at 12, but instead you're starting your appointments during dial time, or you're not dialing at dial time at all. You're only dialing 2 days a week instead of 3 days a week. Like the thing is like, if these were standards that were set up in your business for you, would you be fired? And a lot of us would. And so you can't go from, okay, now I have all this freedom and think that freedom equals do whatever, whenever I feel like it. Because the biggest thing that will change your business for the better is discipline. Discipline is that freedom. Discipline is the freedom that you'll have whenever you do it enough to where you don't have to worry about your bills anymore. You don't have to worry about, budgets. You don't have to worry about budgeting yourself. You don't have to worry about, you know, how much is the electricity bill this month? How much is the mortgage? How much is the taxes going up? Like, you don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. And then when you want to take a vacation, you can plan it out and you can go on vacation and you can go have the best vacation you've ever had and take your family on it and not worry, oh, do we have to stay at some ratty hotel where we have to wear bodysuits to go sleep? No, you can stay wherever you want. But taking it back from that, going back to kind of why we got into this, I gotta say, Pete, it's because I got so tired of going into working places and being that person that showed up early, left late, gave a crap about my job. I would work through lunch. I wouldn't take vacation days. I'd work on my days off. I worked my tail off. And then the people that weren't working nearly as hard as me and were best friends with management were the ones getting raises, were the ones getting advancement, were the ones getting the jobs that I wanted. But I ended up getting everybody else's work. Like, I got so tired of that. And so now looking at it, it's like I get to get paid to work my tail off. And so, like, some people are like, Brandon, what about you getting burnout? Do you think you'll ever get burnout selling insurance? No, because if I wasn't selling insurance, I would be doing something else. That would be a job. It would be something that would generate income. It would require effort. And am I going to get burnout at that? No, because we all have to work for a living. You know, none of us are, well, maybe some of you have family money where somebody's just cutting you a check all the time. I don't have that. We're the ones cutting the checks to our family. So there's that. And then I think the other thing is just seeing the difference that it makes for the people around us. But if there's any one little thing that I can say that just blows my mind, it's the people that come into our business and treat it like it's a side hustle until the next best thing comes along. How about you, Pete?
You know, I was putting some stuff down because I was looking at some numbers for this call. Because I know at the end of the day, I want to share with you guys a little bit about where Brandon and I got, because I can tell you this. Okay, so like Mitchell, I can't show you how to do what I have never done. Like, I don't want to teach you theory. I can't show you guys how to make money I didn't make before. And I want to share some results with you guys, if it's okay today. And I'm not sharing this, but for one reason. And listen to me when I'm telling you this. I'm not sharing this to impress you. I'm sharing it to impress upon you that we can show you how to get here. Like, there are people that will be bigger than the company is right now in the next 24 to 36 months. There's some of you whose agencies will be bigger than what we have at Unitrust right now. I wholeheartedly believe that. You know, at the end of the day, I got in and, you know, we sold enough insurance and keep selling insurance. And we do that because it fuels, it's the fuel, it's the money that goes into the business that generates the revenue. I don't have to have any debt. I'm worried. It's like, man, I could put money in. And as long as I did the work, Devin, you know it, right? You get money out every week. It's like rinse, repeat. You can practically be broke and start this business. Now, you might have to put some temporary circumstances aside a little bit, like I had to, but you fix it really quick if you go to work. And for me, it was like, the desire was to go out and to build an organization, to build a business. Remember, it was put the stake in the ground with my name on it. That's what I wanted to do. Some people go, well, does Brandon have to sell as much as he does? I don't know. But I'm going to share some numbers with you guys. Okay. And I'm going to give you numbers as it was from 2015, from when Brandon and I started. Like, I'm going to not count, you know, November and December 2014, because it didn't matter. But from 2015, I just want to share with you our annual results. What were those results? It was the income that we were making. And I just want you to see the pattern of something. For us, it was every year I was able to follow people that knew how to get where they were, and I could just follow them. I wasn't the best team builder. I wasn't the best, I had to work on all that. I had to get good at recruiting. I had to get good on leading other people and being patient and stuff like that. 2015, Brandon and I made more money in our two businesses prior that we were in than we did in 2015. In 2015, we only made $311,000 between the two of us. And I know I'm like sitting here saying only, but I just want to give you the pattern. It was only 311. About 50,000 of that came, about 1,000 a week we had ran that year, only about 50,000, less than 50, 49 and some change, $50,000 in income came in from the team building side. So, a majority of our income roughly was, 260,000 or so. Chellis was from us going out and selling insurance and starting, right? But hey, we made about $50,000 that year by starting to build a team. How did we do that? I called some people I knew. Hey, you interested in an opportunity? I posted some job ads. I learned how to do that. I would screen people. I started making it a habit of something, Susan, that I did every single day. And you guys, most of you guys weren't here because, you see Karen, all these folks doing it now, but it was me. It was Pete doing it. Just like you guys are going to start. It was me. The only recruit I had was Brandon. and he was the only one I had. It was me. I was like doing it all. So I had to start recruiting. 2016, 2015, that was a year for us to change some of our habits. So that year, was a year for us to try to start working on our debt, start doing some things. My mother came down with stage 4 COPD. She was very, very ill. This business gave me the opportunity that every 60 to 90 days, I was getting on an airplane and spending a week with my mom who lived in Ohio. And I'd do anything with her. And I wish I could have done more for her, but at least every 2 to 3 months, I could get on an airplane and not worry about nothing and just go out and spend time with my mom and spend those last, they told us we had less than 2 years. That's about what she lasted, 2.5. 2016, we doubled up from 311. We made 618,000 in 2016. Not a bad living. Hey, you want to know something? 482,000 came from personal production. Only 136,000 came from our team. So Jamal, it was to year 2 of recruiting, but I was making $136,000 a year from owning my business, which was, I'm telling all of you this to tell you, because that's the path I can show you how to follow. And maybe some of you, I might be a little better than I was back then. You might be able to be a little bit better than I was. So we went from 311 to 618. 2017, we made some changes. We joined the last IMO. We made 848. Still through that change, we made 848,000. Personal production was right at 600,000. I got out of the field. That's the year I got out of the field. Because that year I made right under 249,000 in overrides. So 2017 was the 3-year mark that I said to myself, Mitchell, that I'm not going to sell insurance anymore. It's okay. Brandon's going to handle that part. I'm making enough money, Rob. I'm going to just focus on building my team every day. I still work. I'm going to work on my team. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We hired more staff. That's the year that we started staffing up people in our office. We started investing. It took us 3 years to start really doing that. We didn't do it right away. Took us about 3 years. 2018, we cracked our first 7-figure year. So went from 848 to 1,070,000. 650,000 was in personal production, and it was all off of Brandon. We increased in 50,000. And so if you guys want to know, is Brandon better at selling insurance than Pete was? There was 2 of us doing 600 and he did 650 by himself. So I think by the time I got out of his hair and he just had some time to get away from me, he did a little bit better by himself than we did together. But that was scary. Remember, Brandon? Because what did I tell you? I said, I'm not in the field anymore. What did I tell you?
You're going to have to figure this out and you're going to have to make it happen.
By yourself.
Yep.
You got this. But we don't need two of us doing this. We only need one. I need to go keep building our company, building our dream. So we made $1,070,000 only about, so I went from 248 and 17 in overrides to 519,000 and some change in 2018. I'm gonna go through 2 more years. I say this to show you a pattern for some of you that are writing it down. 2019, we went from 1,070,000 to 1,379,000, almost 1.38. Brandon increased by about 50. By that time, so we went through 15, listen to this, Devin, 2015, 16, 17, 18, it was 2019, Joe. 5 years into building my company and building my team and recruiting, that finally my overrides were about equal to what we were making off of sales. Took 5 years. Brandon, how often frustrated we were, is it ever gonna, we had faith, but we still wondered when everything was stacked against us and everybody said, why do you keep doing that when you just put your time? It took us 5 years, Jeff, to get our income. And I know there's a lot of people at other companies that do it a lot faster than I did it. It just happened to be what I did it. It took me 5 years to get to even what Brandon would do in sales to get just where I needed to be, where I wanted to be, to say, hey, I'm pulling in half the income. 2020, we went to 1,644,000, almost 1,645,000. And that's the first year that override income, Brandon made about $750,000. That's the first year our override by year 6 exceeded what we did in personal production. But how many people would look at it and go, in the past, go, man, I just want to give up on this recruiting thing because I can just sell right now, Michael. I can just do this. I don't need to do that. Dude, it was 5 years of it. I'm telling you, this thing glued to your head, talking to people. You gonna get some leads today? I know you told me you're gonna get leads every day for the last 3 weeks. You gonna get some today? Are we gonna be a winner? You can be a chump or a champ. Like, what's gonna happen today, right? Those calls over and over and over and working with people, and finally the tipping point hit. And then 2021, we did right at 1.85. Company exceeded by far. This year, I don't mean to say it, but even through all these changes and everything we do, the company has doubled this year. We left in freaking IMO and started our own. We turned technology off and built our own, and it's not even done yet. And I don't know, this year we'll do about 3 million from 1.8. Again, I don't say it to impress. But here's what I can tell you. I can show you how to go through the progression that we went through, if you're willing to go through it. Somebody told me the other day, man, you know what builds the dream? I was talking to Pablo Troncoso about this because we want to get it. Man, we just are fired up about where we're taking InsurTech and the build out of our wholesale company and our tech company. And I remember this vividly, Tom, talking to Pablo and saying this to him. Just stay patient. If you can sell insurance, just go learn to do it. And you just do it. You can build, you'll weigh through the ebbs and flows of building your company, because there will be people that come and quit, and people that leave, and oh my gosh, people decide that insurance isn't for them. Oh my gosh, like you're not going to sell insurance. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, come on now. Not everybody's going to do it, right? They're going to do it for a little bit, maybe say this ain't for me, even though I'm good at it, and maybe not want to do it. It's life, right? If none of y'all never quit anything, we caught all y'all y'all were 18 years old, right out of high school. We hired all of y'all, right? It's not for everybody, right? But if you can stay consistent and sell insurance, you can go from 311 to 618 to 848 to 1,070,000 to 1.38 to 1,645 to 1,850 is about 851, and right under 3 mil by year 7, maybe year 8. This is a 5-year plan to make a 7-figure income passive. That's what this is for those who can do it. But here's the thing. I know everybody, if I asked you right now, everybody on this call, and Brandon and I have to reflect on this sometimes too, Linda, because we get caught up on it. Like, gosh, how stressful everything is. How many of you guys would like that result within 7 years? Would like to say, I'm on track, 5 years, I got a 7-figure passive income. I don't have to sell anything. I can wake up every day, just help people. Is there everybody within 5 years? Would you want that? Yeah. What has it done? I mean, it's changed our life completely. We give back to so many people, to so much stuff. We provide opportunity for so many other people. We're building technology that nobody can do. Like, we're reinvesting a lot, but we did it. But let me tell you this, what's the most fun part about it? I can't really show you how to get to 2 or 3 mil in 5 years, but I can show you how to do 7 figures in 5 years. But even life in year number 1, Brandon, wasn't that bad. I made 311. It wasn't that bad. I mean, gosh, my gosh, we didn't make the million. My gosh, damn it, we didn't make the million, but it wasn't that freaking bad. We made 311 on our worst year. And then we made 618, and every day, Chellis, though, we were pissed because we were just fighting for growth and just, and then I'm reinvesting going, is it going to pay out? And every freaking time it does. But let me tell for some of you guys something. 2015, we had to figure out our own lead program because the lead company that Jamie Lester and Pablo and Brandon and I were with decided that they were going to move one of their friends into my territory after we got an office, and our leads just went down from 30 or 40 a week to, you call the lead department, you call this lady named Pam Unfair, call Pam Unfair, and you go, hey, Pam Unfair, where's my leads? Well, you know, there's a weather in Florida, you know, and I think there might have been a hurricane season. I mean, we'd hear all kinds of bullshit, right? So we figured out our lead program. We figured out a lead program in 2015 that works. How many people on this call, Brandon, are going to have to go figure out a lead program?
0.
You don't have to worry about that. So would it be fair to say if you didn't have to worry about it, you might even be able to do a little bit more? Okay, let's go to 2017. We switched and we went to a company. No, I won't even do that. 2018, Tech got switched off. Remember Techopolis? We were working for an IMO. They all of a sudden, they fired one of their co-owners of the company. And you went in to log into a dashboard and you're like, lights out. It don't even exist. Like, I'm like, Latanya, I'm like, where's my clients? You couldn't find nothing. Hey, Brandon, how many people here are going to have to worry about dashboard going off?
0.
Or paying for the dashboard build out?
None.
How about digital lead integration or CRM?
None.
How about staff and corporate expenses on the corporate side?
I mean, they can help pay it if they want to help.
I mean, we'll
I'm
take
gonna say no to that.
If you guys want to ACH a little bit in, we're fine with it.
The Ronald McDonald House is open for business, y'all. Send a check.
But I'm just telling you guys this to tell you the vision of what you can build here. I know people, Brandon, that can hold on and stay focused for maybe a week or two, and you find a few of them for maybe a month. I talk to a lot of people that they tell me what they're going to do. I'm going to be the top guy. I'm going to be the Brandon. I'm going. I want you to. But what I want you to do is focus on just doing it. Because here's where we designed this. When you make 300 versus us making 300, you're going to keep a lot more of it than we did because you ain't got to build it all out. Does that make sense? So that's the business opportunity. When you run a $10 million a year group, Jamie Lester, you're going to be twice or 3 times more profitable on that 10 million than I am. I just want a little lick on a whole bunch so that we build a system that you guys can get the bigger lick. You don't have to worry about figuring all this stuff out. And unfortunately, I'm not going to bore you with all of it. We figured it out because we had to, because we weren't going to put y'all through what we went through. But that shirt that Tom Brown's wearing, that for the doers, it doesn't say for the don'ters. which is probably like really bad grammar, right? But for the doers, it's like my North Florida, like twang. It's like for the people that do something, that's what it's built for. And if you can stay focused for 90 days, you'll amaze yourself. If you can stay focused for 12 months, you will absolutely change your financial situation. And if you can stay focused for about 5 years, and don't ride the ups, just stay focused. When it's not working out, when it's not true, when it's people ain't coming in, when your best guy quits, when your client calls you to cancel, if you can just stay focused for about 5 years, you'll put yourself in a financial position for the future to absolutely become financially free. I get stressed out about stuff because it's just, as anybody does. But then I look back at it, Brandon, I'm like, what do we got to really get stressed out about? I mean, our family's good, we're good. I mean, oh my gosh, but every year we grew. And I'm showing that people that maybe if you would like to see similar results to what we did, we not only, Brandon, can teach them how to do what we did those years, but now I got a whole bunch of lessons learned of maybe what I would have changed back then to maybe even make it higher, because I've got the lessons learned that I didn't have to worry about. Any final thoughts you have on this, Brandon, about our motto in business and stuff, and sharing our story and just our thought process in business before we pass it over to Tom to close us out?
Yeah. I was trying to think of what could I attribute that growth every year to, if I could put it into words for people, like, how are we not okay with making 600? And then once we got to 800, how did we not plateau right there and then be like, shoot, this is a great living. Like, hey, we're good. How do we not plateau once we got to the million mark? Like, because most people would plateau and just be like, hey, I'm good. I don't think that it had anything to do with money. I think that even to this day, if I could attribute it to anything, is I think we stay in a place of, we're not where we need to be. We can do better. We can get better. So I think that we were always mad and frustrated at ourselves, and we never felt like we arrived, and we never walked around like we were just better than everyone else and we're here. And I think that we were more driven towards the growth and getting better than we were on it being a set dollar amount. And I think that that's where people get messed up, is they go look at their bank account, and their bank account has more in it than it's ever had before, and they're like, I'm good. I can chill. I can sit back. And me, if my bank account, when I look at it on Friday, this day, is not way more than it was the previous Friday, I don't care if there's enough money in there to pay my bills for the next 15 years. I'm pissed off. And Pete got to see me do that the other day.
Oh, I did.
Because I had a $15,000 Amex bill come out of my account that
I don't tell him when I charge those. I just charge mine half and then I charge his half. I don't tell him, because if I tell him, I figured I'd rather deal with it. I tell him, I let him figure it out, Jamie, in the morning, because he's got to make his dials, instead of dealing with him at night. So he just wakes up and sees and I'm like, hey, I slammed me with 15 too. It's fine. I slammed you with the other 15.
Yeah. So I went in my account. I'm like, what? I had the same amount that I had last Friday. Like, I'd scroll down, scroll, and I look, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, so yeah, I could look in there and be like, I'm good, I'm set. But no, like, it's the growth. It's staying addicted and focused on the growth and getting better every single week and not being okay. And I remember going to conventions, Pete, and this is a big plug for our convention. I remember going to conventions and seeing people that we were almost right there making just as much as they were. And they'd go up and get the #1 trophy for income. And I remember looking at them like, please, outwork you any day of the week. Like, I will create an 8th day of the week just to beat you. Like, I remember having that competitive and that just addiction, that need to grow. And so if there's anything that I could tell everybody on here is, don't be so focused on the money that you're making as much as you're focused on the getting better and growing, and never getting to a place to where you feel like you're arrived and you can just chill. Because the moment that you do that, that license that you have, you can call the Department of Insurance in your state, and you can call them and you can send it right back to them, because you're not going to need it anymore. You're going to need to go find something else to do.
Well, I think it's Brandon. I think on this, I think it's, guys, stay humble and hungry. Remember what you're fighting for. For Brandon, it's competitiveness, it's growth, it's all that. For me, Rob, I fight to just go forward every week, every month, like same as Brandon. I hate going backwards more than I desire to grow. Like, if that makes sense. Like, to me, it's like going backwards on something is just like, it just, but why? You can start paying the debt. You can get a couple houses instead of one, you start getting 2. We started with little things like, I wish my mother was still alive. I buy my dad a car. We buy Brandon's mom a car, Brandon's dad a car, Brandon's stepmom a car. We paid Brandon's dad's house off so he could live without a mortgage. Like, we start doing those things, and the family and the people, and then every year we take them on vacation the last 4 years. And this year we got to go stay at this really great place. It was this big estate that we rented the whole thing out for a week, right on the water up in the ocean, 14,000 square feet. Everybody kept asking us in the pictures if we rented out the whole hotel. It was like, literally looked like a hotel. But we do that. The money's great, but it's the impact of the money that we can do. It's giving back to y'all and giving you guys platforms. It's getting in my office in the mornings at 8 or 9 o'clock and getting on with our development team. And how can we make it better for them? How can we get them something in front of them that's going to help them just a little bit more this week than helped them last week? But it's only going to be there for those that'll just take it and can stay hungry and can stay humble and can leave the mess at the door. And last thing I'll say on here is, don't you deprive yourself with making long-term decisions based on temporary problems. Do not do that to yourself. All of us started with problems, but don't go, well, I'm financially not here. And I get it, man. I got the battle scars. But don't deprive yourself by making long-term financial decisions based on your temporary problems. Because I promise, it may seem like a lot right now, but even if you're starting right now and you got to get a license, it's going to take you 3 to 4 weeks to see your first check. Hey, baby, it's only 3 to 4 weeks, because you got years and years and years ahead of you, going from 311 to 618 to 848 to 1,070 to 1,380 and just climbing. Does that make sense? So just focus on that, and then duplication. Tom, we appreciate you guys having us. I know we went a long time today, and it means so much for us that you guys stuck around and just hung out with us and listened to our story. And hopefully it impacts you enough to realize that it doesn't impress you, but it's impressed upon you that you can go out and get the same results, if not more, for you and your family. Tom?
Hey, thank you, Pete and Brandon. Well done. And hey, gang, hey, I just think it's important that we, took some time here to hear it from the heart, and the opportunity that you have in front of you, that Pete and Brandon are well qualified to, hey, gang, they've created a structure, a system, an opportunity to, help you achieve the same, and if not more, right? So just wanted you to know it's a real thing. It's not about, shifting sands or crazy deals that are going to change, or egos, or, flash in the pan. I mean, this is gritty. We're in it to win it. And the same can be said for you. So make it happen, folks, because, in the gold rush of 1848, Leonard, it was a good time. People that tried to get out there in 1849, they missed out. So we're in it right now. And this is our gold rush opportunity, Chalice. So let's toughen up and get it moving, get excited. And hey, who knows where we can take it. So, hey, good to be with you here today. Let's kick apps. We'll see you at the top, and good selling. Y'all take care. See you tomorrow. For John Maxwell. Bye-bye.